This is Staying in Touch with Stephanie, so thanks for tuning in. Wanted to share some updates from the budget that the state legislature passed. It was a compromise budget with a Democratic Senate, Republican House, Democratic governor. It certainly was quite the process to get to the end result, but the governor did sign the budget on October 7th, and so I wanted to share a few highlights from the budget. So the first thing, really important, is that we protected Medicaid. How do we do that? So you might have heard in the news about the insurance provider assessment. That generates revenue by assessing insurers, but as you might have also read, the One Big Beautiful Bill Act, the budget bill under President Trump, made changes to how states can assess providers to draw down Medicaid dollars, and it would have had a huge negative impact on Michigan. However, we preserved dedicated Medicaid match revenue in the event that the federal government doesn't provide an extension to the phase out of provider fees. That's a lot of jargon for the basics, which is basically that we protected Medicaid. So super excited about that. Second thing is that we are making corporations pay their share through the decoupling of the federal tax code with the state tax code. This was really important that we took care of this. Otherwise, we would have been on the hook for about $540 million in business tax credits. And I did want to note that there is a large earmark from the corporate income tax towards roads. And so we are making sure that corporations pay their share. The third thing that you may be interested in is that in our school budget, we preserved universal school meals. And that's a big deal for Michigan. Last year in our state, 800,000 students ate those meals. And the governor is estimating that this year's investment will actually feed more than 1 million students. So excited about that, and hoping that we can keep our students fed so they can learn. Also, we included the highest per pupil funding ever in the state's history, $10,500 in per pupil funding for our students, which will help all of our schools across the state of Michigan. We also increased at-risk dollars. What does this mean? It means more money towards the school districts that really need a lot of help. And so that is huge, huge, huge. We also increased funding for English language learners, or ELL. The fact that we were able to get this through, so excited about that, and huge thanks to Senator Darren Camilleri for making that happen. So 2 big wins there. Also, public safety. Big increases here, thanks to the good work of my colleague John Cherry. We now have a $95 million pot of money for ongoing public safety grants. This is going to go to our prosecutors, to our police, towards our fire departments, and towards community violence intervention. So very, very excited about that. One of the things that you may know that I've been a huge fan of has been community violence intervention programs. And so really, really happy to share that in our state budget, between the Department of Health and Human Services, the school budget, and public safety revenue sharing, totaling between all of those buckets of money, $15.55 million for CVI. One of the things that I'm also really excited about is that within the Department of Health and Human Services budget, we are continuing to tackle the opioid crisis, and I'm really grateful to Senator Sylvia Santana for leading the charge here on such a critical issue of substance abuse. I have been working for a while now on the issue of personal protection orders and making sure that we can actually get those served free of charge. And I am looking forward to introducing bipartisan bills on this topic very soon. But in the meantime, the budget includes $1 million for our law enforcement agencies to serve those PPOs free of charge, which we desperately need. You also may know that I've been working hard on water affordability ever since I took office in 2015. And while we are continuing to push forward with our statewide bipartisan legislation, we continue to push for money as well. And so we did secure $5 million in the budget for water affordability. And we know the need is very much higher than that, but we will continue the work. Also related to water, the state budget includes $417 million for water infrastructure initiatives. And we've got a lot of work to do on that front. This is a huge, huge help. RX Kids, $270 million to expand RX Kids across the state. That's ongoing dollars over the next few years, which we anticipate will help 100,000 families. And this will be great for pregnant moms, pregnant women, as well as when they become moms with their new babies, to make sure that they have the cash that they need to pay for all the things that babies need. Speaking of kids, the TriShare program for childcare is continued with $3.4 million. Workforce development, so we can keep Michiganders working and trained and ready, $439 million for workforce development, which is a huge priority for all of us. And then you probably have been hearing a lot about roads, $1.1 billion in new revenue generated for roads and bridges, which was a key priority for Governor Whitmer. So I hope that helps. Those are a few highlights. We'll share more in the next video.